Alright, I've got the... Oh, crap, it's starting to fall. Get back in and decouple it quickly. I'm trying. And decouple... Oh, God, Bob, what's happening? Bob, what's... Bob, come on. Oh, shit, Bob!
Bob thankfully had picked up a thing or two from Jeb's piloting and got the craft to a smooth landing after the micro-explosion.
Hey, Bob, come over here. See if you can tell what caused this explosion. You know I'm not Bill, right? I can try my best, but it probably won't be right. By my best guess, it's that during construction, something was welded wrong and allowed the controlled explosive to become uncontrolled and very dangerous. Hopefully it was just a fluke. Yeah, hopefully. We need to report that to Mission Control as soon as we can. Next time we might not be as lucky. Well, I got some science. Let's head off and get more. Aren't you forgetting something? Oh, yeah. It's just all this adrenaline. Hey, you want to plant the flag? You deserve it. Sure. So I stick it down like this, and pop! Ah, that's a nice spot.
Despite a scuffed landing, we, Bob and Jebediah Kerman, landed with skill and unrivaled toughness. Glory to Schenetirians.
Alright, let's head off to the next science zone. Agreed. I'll get out last next landing. Har, har, har. Real funny. Alright, quick science before we depart. Let's go plant us a flag.
Jeb and Bob landed on the flats. Mission Control cheered, off with the hats. Jeb and Bob smiled as they knew Minmus was only a pit stop to the road of glory.
There's a second one. Shall we move on to the third? We shall, oh Captain, my Captain. Alright, you got this one, Bob. Interchanging. I'm fine with that. And... Whoop!
With Kerbin in view, we sit hoping that others may one day enjoy the same view as us lucky few.
Bit of a topsy landing, sorry, Bob.
Oh, shut up, man.
I don't think we planted this many flags even in training.
Hearing Kerbin's call, we sit in withdrawal. We yearn for a home, and yet we yearn for the unknown. We are thinkers, achievers, and doers, and when time times, we shall be the first movers.
I think I did a good job. And when time times. Yeah, that's a real good line there. Yeah, it really... Just stop thinking about it.
Making their way to the North Pole to gather more science, Jeb and Bob realized that the microscopic gravity allowed for massive orbital moves for very little delta V, even more than they were expecting, which is why they could go anywhere on Minmus with their fuel reserves.
Just a bit more light, and we're ready for the last flag. Shame we'll be leaving this place. Quite beautiful.
We have arrived in the cold, landing for the final time. We as Schenetirians don't do as told, as we were made to shine.
Alright, nice, let's get home. I can already feel my bones turning into jelly.
Amen to that. Let's get out of here. With the polar orbit they had put themselves in, they had to do 2 burns in order to return home. This would make the mission significantly longer than if they would have just burned horizontally along the equator. As Bob and Jeb left Minmus for home, Songar was soon to be doing his circularization burn. Knowing how far behind he was, Songar quickly deorbited to ensure he spent as little time as he could on the surface of Minmus to catch up with the Schenetirian craft. With the first landing being the smoothest he could muster, Songar quickly collected some science samples and hopped out of his craft to plant the flag of Astaris. I, Songar, have achieved greatness for my country. I have landed on the great Minty Mun. While certainly behind those of Schenetirian origin, I am still delighted to be the second ship to land among the stars. Songar Kerman, proud Astaran. After finding the flattest part of the slope, Songar yet again performed a quick landing to collect data as fast as he could as to not lag behind. My first landing was on the greatest flats, a wide berth and substantial length. Now landing on even the slightest slope looks alien from moments prior. Despite the break from my initial perception of normality, it is likewise beautiful, and I wish for all to see it one day. With his fuel running dangerously low, Songar could do one more landing before being forced to return home. After collecting science, Songar hastily planted the last flag of not only this mission, but for the foreseeable future of all Minmus missions. I land on yet another flat region on this alien world. While not as wide nor grand, I still admire the shimmer of Kerbal's glare upon its darkened surface. The beauties of this world I will not steal for myself, and know I shall abdicate for the people to join me among this void. Wasting no time getting into orbit, nor getting the return burn set up, Songar hastily waited for the craft to be in position to return home. This burn would be horrifyingly close to running out of fuel, just barely allowing Songar to get a guaranteed deorbit. Surprisingly, Songar's ship was going home much faster than Jeb and Bob's, allowing Songar, despite arriving at Minmus a day later, to return home roughly a day sooner. Due to an engineering oversight, the science storage unit was in the decoupled part of the craft, so Songar had to retrieve it before re-entering the atmosphere. Despite the engineering oversight, the storage unit surprisingly survived the re-entry. However, this wasn't that important since Songar previously collected all of this data from it. It was still impressive, however, to see it hold up to the effects of re-entry. Landing with a hard thud, Songar waited until morning to deploy his outward radio to ensure no battery life was wasted while he slept. With the science storage unit surviving, Astars could recover it, or while nothing was left in there, the amount of science that Songar had grabbed from it proved legendary, as that single mission had gathered 118.3 science, allowing the Apel to test any sort of experiment they could think of, as well as getting the same technology as Schenetirian scientists without having to send in spies to gather information. While Songar was being picked up, Bob and Jeb had finally made their way back to Kerbin and prepared for re-entry. During the re-entry, Jeb and Bob didn't know of the successful return of Songar, nor how much science Songar or themselves had gathered. With the second successful Minmus return landing taking place, they could only wait and admire all of the science that they had gathered, wondering what R&D would use it for and how much it was actually worth. Once Jeb, Bob, and their craft were recovered, it was revealed that they acquired a mind-boggling 224.6 science to use. R&D could use this for any sort of technological advancement they could think of, and even get the same technology as Astars without having to send in their own spies to gather intel, much like Astars was planning on doing before their own successful return mission. For both nations, this science could unlock electronics, advanced construction, better fuel tanks, engines, better flight control, smaller components, and so much more that they didn't even realize yet. It was clear that the further the mission, the better the rewards. However, both nations and the entirety of Kerbin would be rocked by a new launch, foreign to both the Astars and Shenetier launch pads.